Aptos ETF. I hope that we get it. Great news for Aptos. So you can check out down below, obviously, everything you have about them. Scoot is anti-Kanye. Yes. If there's a political party that revolves around hating Kanye West, I've been in it since like 2000. Anywho, it's time to go ahead and bring on Chris, and he can tell us actually if we're going to 73K.
What's up, man? How are you doing?
How are you? I'm good, man. I'm doing politics over here.
Hey, I see that, man. You know,
I pointed out that World Liberty's financials portfolio was down, and so I'm anti-Trump.
Well, you know, you got to.
By the way, I'll go on a limb and say Trump doesn't even know that World Liberty Financial has a portfolio, so I can't be anti-Trump. Maybe I'm just anti, like in that case, one or two of his kids who I am actually anti, like at a personal level, who I went to college with, and the people that they hired. But I think that World Liberty Financial will do great, actually. But yeah, go ahead.
Good times, man. Good times. Hey, listen. So at the end of the day, I was listening in. 78, 73. I mean, I'm like you, man. That area it's coming, from the all-time high there. It's pretty much the same thing. If we're looking on the chart here, you can see that the yearly pivot showing up here on the weekly. I mean, that's, we'll zoom in a little bit here, but that's where we're at the moment here. We have this large orange. If we jump out to the monthly time frame, we have this large orange fair value gap. And so, we hit the discount side of that. The pivot sit just below that. Jumping into the weekly, we have this weekly fair value gap again, just dipping this week into that discount area of that fair value gap. We're at the low volume node. We've got the pivot. I mean, my God, if it kind of swings down there a few $1,000s more, it's not really anything significant. It's this area that you're looking for it to hold, right? So what I've looked at here, and I posted this on Twitter here recently, was that the previous two large moves that we had to the downside, sideways movements that lasted a while, right? So we had 2003 here, 2023, and then 2024. In 2023, again, hovering around that pivot for that year. 2024, the R1 pivot of that year. And here we are in 2025 around the pivot. So that's the first thing I've noted, right? Second thing is on the weekly here, the RSI pulling back around that 44 level for previous two times here. And here we are again. And even if this was to dip down through this week, as long as the weekly kind of pulled up a bit, again, last week we have the close right here. So we could dip this down this week and, pull back up. Say we hit 73 and then, just bounce hard right back up. It still leaves us here. So there's a lot of similarities between right now, what's going on now, and what we saw with the previous two pullbacks this bull cycle. And so, people that are calling, the crash coming in or whatever, I don't think so. Again, I continue to believe this is looks to me like it's corrective right now. We're getting this weekly retest or this test of this spring here. And usually we'll get a higher low on that. We look for a higher low on lesser volume. Very occasionally you will get a lower low, which is what we got right now. So now we need to see, how does the weekly end up? Does our volume end lower than what we ended here 2 weeks ago? Right here. That's what we're looking for. But this has to kind of stick around this area. We can't go like way down here to like 70,000 or something, because that's just too far. But you can get this test here moving just a bit below that spring, which is where we're at right now, and still be good. So, macro wise, I'm still looking here. The setup is there. We'll see if we can get it. We're jumping in here to the daily. Again, if we do break down lower, so the first thought was a sweep of that low. Second thought was the S1 pivot here that shows up on the daily time frame. So it's the monthly S1. It's right around 74,000. So again, 73, 74,000. It would make sense, right?
Yeah. It's just too obvious. I think it
overall,
it's just so obvious.
Yeah. I think right now, it's just to be a little patient. I think everybody's trying to always catch, the absolute low bottom or the absolute high. But, rarely, that's something that even professionals have been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. it's something we still rarely do, right? To catch the absolute low or the absolute high. You know, the highs and the lows are actually, you know, ranges that develop. The absolute high and the absolute low is just an event. And so if you focus on the idea that they're ranges, then that gives you opportunity, right? And all of a sudden you don't feel so stressed out trying to do it. But we had a good candle yesterday. This is a bullish engulfing candle.
With bullish divergence from oversold RSI and stochastic there as I'm looking at it. Doesn't happen very often on the daily. Doesn't mean it can't build more, but man.
Yeah, the only two things I don't like about this candle is the volume wasn't greater than the candle that it's engulfing here. We usually look for that. And we have a large wick here that we didn't overcome as well. I would have felt better had this wick been lower here. We kind of engulfed that. But, you know, so now here we are. You know, long story short, guys, we're really just trying to get above this 88,488 area. If you can do that with a daily candle, that gives us an impulsive breakout and close above that 88,488, that's going to all but guarantee that the low is in, you know, whether it's here or it drops down the S1 and then pops up. So, I mean, you know, if you're looking at this whole thing here, trying to catch the bottom, the absolute low, stop. Just look for that breakout. If you can do that, man, we're good to go. Now, here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. People don't want to hear this. So I was looking at this idea that, you know, we've got this 3, we've got this 4 here. Could this be 5? Sure, it could. It doesn't make a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things. And, you know, this really kind of looks like, you know, like a ABC up here. But if this is a 3 and this is a 4 and wave 5 usually overextends on Bitcoin, we get a blow off top, right? There's a strong possibility this becomes a 1 and a 2 here. And here's the crazy thing. People don't want to hear this because it gets us all of those crazy numbers. But if this is going to be potentially from here, we'll say up to here and here, 1 and 2 of 5, that gives us a 3 up here at 271.4.
I'll take it.
5 up at 365.6.
We're going 270. I need to change the title. Let's go. Bitcoin to 270K, says Chris Inks with definitive certainty.
Yeah, yes. Actually, what I was going to say was not with definitive certainty, but you know, I'm not saying that's where it's going to go or it has to go there. But what I'm saying is, if we look at this as a 1 and a 2, and wave 5 giving us the blow off top we usually look at, that should be at least kind of where we're looking. And all of a sudden, we get back to those crazy predictions, you know, we had a year ago, a year and a half ago, and people, oh, there's just no way, there's no way. And also, it looks like maybe there's a way. And you know, it wouldn't be any different than previous Bitcoin cycles, other than it would only be like a 3.5x from here versus a 20x or something that we've had previously. So, you know, it's a lot less upside than what we would normally have. But, you know, again, people get, you know, the bias to the big numbers, right? And it's scary for them thinking about 100,000 or, you know, 200,000 or 300,000. And so, you know, I just put that out there, some possibility. And of course, you know, obviously if we drop down a bit lower here, you know, 73, 74,000, it'll bring us down a bit more. Maybe we only get 355. But it's, you know, if we catch a bit here and we start rallying up, we get above that 88,488 level, you know, we need to look at that breakout higher. And really the only thing that would make sense is that this becomes a 1 and a 2 of that wave 5 on the way up. And so, you know, again, when we're looking at the weekly, we'd be bouncing off that same level we normally bounce off at. And so, you know, we'll see what happens. It runs us all the way through the R pivots on the yearly here. So, you know, if we're coming in sideways between the R1 and the pivot, nothing surprises. Something I talked about so many times on your show and with other shows, with my show, is this idea that when you move in sideways between your R1 pivot and your pivot, and you drop down the pivot, and you get that as support and you rally back up, most of the time you're going to get through the R4 or the R5 pivot on that time frame. So, you know, with 355 or 365 being just above R5, often we kind of blow off through the R5. Again, with the way things normally tend to work with pivots and stuff like that, you know, we'll often get that. So, looks really interesting. I can't say that I'm upset with Bitcoin at all or what's going on here. You know, people are just kind of, you know, all in their feelings and, you know, impatient. But, you know, again, they were the same thing over here, and they were the same thing, you know, back over here. Hell, they were the same thing, this little pullback right here as well. But that's, you know, that's what human beings do, right? We tend to get over emotional. Real quick here, DXY continues to look as I've been talking about. What was that?
I cried twice yesterday.
Anyway,
we get over emotional.
Yeah, so the DXY continues to look kind of like what we've been looking, you know, what I was expecting. I got a lot of hate, of course, on this web here, talking about this probably being a top area, pullback from dollar bulls. Well, here we are. I mean, you know, we're down from 110 to 103 here. Odds are we're going to continue down again. This whole sideways looks like a large flat here. So coming down, this is going to be an A, a B. C will get us down there low 90s, potentially even lower. And so locally here, kind of looking for maybe getting a bounce here, but kind of getting down to this this S1 pivot from the yearly. It shows up on the weekly and monthly time frames at about 102.5, and kind of get us a bounce up, a drop down, a bounce up, and then looking to get us our 5 waves finished here, just below 100 to give us a wave 1, and we'll get a wave 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. So overall, you know, the dollar should continue to weaken versus other currencies. Which, by the way, if you played the euro long against the dollar here, man, you had an amazing week last week, up almost 5%, and continuing a bit further into halfway into this week. So it was a good play. You guys were talking about Ethereum. So, you know, I'm taking a look at Ethereum here. To me, it looks like we've probably got a 1, 2, maybe a 3 with a flat as a 4 as a diagonal here. Coming up to a 5. So from the low we're at, you can see that the weekly RSI here is almost oversold. So, you know, we could get a little bit lower. Right now we're bouncing here at the low volume node, which would be expected. If we continue down lower, wouldn't be surprised to see maybe 1,500 here, get to this next low volume node. But based on this current height right here, we'd have about a wave 5 pattern target up there at around almost 7,000. Doesn't mean it can't overextend and go higher, but right now, this really kind of looks like a diagonal coming off here. So we'll see how it plays out overall. H bar is interesting. Again, this is 3 waves up, which means we should be looking for 5 waves back. So it's a flat. So 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 5 waves down. You know, are we potentially complete right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there, low volume node. I think it's possible. It looks like we got 5 up. Looks like we've got 3 down really deep, though. So we want to be careful, but not really hating it at the moment. If we jump in a little bit closer here, you know, I would start looking for a potential reversal around this 0.1964 area, but potentially lower than that, but at least around that area is where I'd start looking for a potential reversal to have on that. Again, like everything else, you know, these pivots are really kind of important here. Big picture is, you know, daily candle, impulsive breakout and close above the pivot here that shows up on the daily time frame at 0.234 would signal that that low is likely in and we're headed up from that. And, you know, and that would mean that we're likely going to break out above here and continue up above 40 cents there. XCN was another one we did really good at here over at the Trading Academy. We had a couple of good trades in this. We've got this pullback. It's a 38.2 pullback right now. Looks like a 4th wave. What was that?
I said, I don't even know if I know what this one is. I'm trying to remember what XCN is. It's funny.
Oh, I don't even know. I just know the chart looked great here. We did some good stuff.
It's the beauty of charts.
But yeah, so we got a 38.2 pullback here. Looks like we got a wave 4 pullback. We had, again, a bullish engulfing candle, you know, yesterday. This one did have greater volume than the candle it's engulfing. I like that. Almost engulfed the wick as well. But, you know, again, daily candle, impulsive breakout and close above this 0.022 should indicate that that low is in. Based on the height of this pullback here, that would give us a target. Actually, I think I've got it over here. Yeah, there we go. Of about a pattern target of about 0.12815. So, obviously a significantly big push, even once you're getting out above this kind of 2 cent area here. Big target on XCN there. Super USD has been another one we've been watching for a bit. Once again here, pullback looks good. We kind of hit this demand in here.
Support. Yeah. It's kind of make it or break it right there.
Right there. Yeah, exactly. So we're really interested in, does this, can we get this continuation? I love the volume. You can see here between the two last candles here, we had a spike of volume on the first one. We have this large supply spread here, closed near the lows. Okay, supply clearly in control. Next candle at support. Doji closes higher than it opened. Bigger spike of volume. So more effort, absolutely no result for supply here on that low candle, and that's what we like to see, especially at support. So looking for this to kind of rally up here. Again, if you want to take the bigger picture, daily candle impulsive breakout and close above 0.691 should indicate that we're likely heading out above this 2.28, 2.3 area up there, and heading out higher. But if we zoom in a bit here, let's get down to 1 hour here. It looks like we may be printing a diagonal here, which could or could not, maybe be done here, but we'd be looking for this price to get caught in this wick right over here from Monday on the 1 hour. And so get caught at, usually in the lower half of that. And then I want to see a pullback down here, at least to about that 0.41 area, potentially down here to the S1 pivot at about 0.40. And at that point, I'd really be looking for reversal on that. And then all of a sudden you have a run up to this pivot showing up on the hourly here. So if we did something like that and pulled it down there, or even if we're like, say, done around this area, they get you 5 waves right up around there and things start really looking good at that point. So Super's another one I've been watching. Swell looks interesting. Again, we have this large descending resistance coming down here. So that pivot, you want to see an impulsive daily candle breakout and close above 0.015. Doing that should indicate that we at least kind of get up here about 0.05, but probably going to break out higher. Right here, again, bouncing off that S1 pivot. Again, things we want to see. Bullish engulfing candle, just about. It actually opened up a little slightly higher than the low there. But, the setup, we're watching the setup here. Are we going to set up to get that breakout? And so, stochastic RSI just getting started here. RSI basically printing some bullish divergence at that support. So again, looks kind of good there. And finally, DOT. We all know DOT, right? Let me see here. Again, possible 5 waves up, really deep pullback though. So we have to be really careful, but we're kind of coming back right to this same kind of support level right there at the S1 pivot. We got some bullish divergence building up on that potentially. Reset and oversold. Daily candle impulsive breakout and close above 5.06 should indicate that that low is in, and we're going to break out above, what is this swing high up here? 11.65, and head up higher overall. But man, this is, I don't know, this is pretty close. We can maybe finagle a 5 out of this and a 3 on this pullback maybe. But it's so close here. We definitely want to see that breakout there to kind of get us going. So, again, as we've been talking about, time after time, it's all about, these alts are all kind of looking the same, generally speaking. Not every single one of them, but in general, they're tending to look this way. So if we can see some of these daily pivot breakouts and closes, then that should signal that the alts are probably ready to rally. Does that mean alt season? Again, I think people are getting too caught up in that. There's been so many opportunities in the last year plus to make a lot of money with alts, as long as you weren't waiting for alt season. So take your charts individually, look at them, run with them, guys. If you don't know how to do that, you need to figure it out, because otherwise, you're going to be sitting around waiting for alt season that may not come. Not saying it won't, but it may not. So
when I look at all these charts, though, the risk reward at like key support, if it breaks, you just let it go, small loss. This is kind of where you take your shot. So it looks really good. I got to run. I gotta think of Ted, man. Thank you, Chris, so much. Everybody give TX West Capital a follow. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow and Chris next week. Thanks, man.
Take care.
Let's go.